The real reason footballers never celebrate against their former clubs. A striker scores, the ball hits the net, the crowd goes wild, and the player who just scored does nothing. No smile, no sprint to the corner, just hands up, head down, maybe a quiet apology to the fans still cheering for the other side. You've seen this 100 times. A player scores against their old club and refuses to celebrate. But have you ever actually asked yourself why? Because it's not just respect. It's not just tradition. There's something much deeper going on in that player's head, in the 2 seconds right after the ball crosses the line. Most people think it's simple. He used to play there, so he's being polite. Nice gesture, nothing more. But that explanation barely scratches the surface. What's actually happening is a full-blown psychological conflict, and it happens in less than a second. Here's the real reason. Psychologists call it identity conflict. When a player spends years at a club, that club doesn't just become a job. It becomes part of who they are. The fans who sang their name, the teammates who became family, the manager who gave them a chance nobody else did. All of that gets wired into their sense of self. So when they score against that exact same club, their brain doesn't know how to react. Because in that instant, two identities are colliding, the professional doing his job, and the person who still feels like he belongs to the other side. This is why you'll see even the coldest, most ruthless strikers freeze completely after scoring against a former club. It's not fake modesty. Their brain is genuinely stuck between two conflicting emotional responses at the exact same time. And here's a question for you. Why do some players celebrate wildly against their old club instead of holding back and get absolutely destroyed by fans for it? Stick around, because that answer says a lot more about loyalty than you'd expect. Now here's something that'll surprise you. That silence after the goal isn't really for the fans watching, it's mostly for the player himself. Sports psychologists studying guilt in competitive settings found something interesting. Holding back a celebration actually helps players manage what's called moral discomfort. Basically, the uneasy feeling of doing something that benefits you while hurting people you still care about. By visibly not celebrating, the player is subconsciously telling both the crowd and his own brain, I didn't want this to happen. It's a tiny act, but it genuinely reduces the internal guilt of what just happened. This is also why you'll notice some players go even further, pointing to the badge of their current club instead, or mouthing an apology toward the fans. It's not performance for the cameras. It's the fastest way their mind has found to resolve the conflict between duty and loyalty, in real time, in front of 80,000 people. If this is changing how you look at these moments, hit that like button and subscribe. This channel exists for exactly this, the real psychology hiding behind the biggest moments in football. So why do some players celebrate wildly against a former club and end up getting torn apart by fans for it? Here's the answer. It almost always comes down to how that transfer actually ended. Players who left on good terms, a respectful move, a proper goodbye, tend to feel that identity conflict strongly because the emotional bond was never broken, just relocated. But players who left on bad terms, forced out, disrespected, sold against their will, often feel something completely different. Not guilt, something closer to vindication. For them, that goal isn't a betrayal, it's proof. And that's exactly why their celebrations tend to be louder, angrier, and far less apologetic than anyone else's. So the silence after a goal and the wild celebration after a goal are actually the exact same emotion, just pointed in opposite directions. One player is still holding on to love for a place that hurt him. The other has already let go completely. The key is understanding that a goal against a former club was never just 3 points or one entry in a stats sheet. It's a player standing in the middle of two identities, forced to choose one, in real time, in front of the entire world. So the next time you see a player refuse to celebrate, don't just call it respect. Watch his face. Watch how long he stares at the ground before his teammates pull him away. Because that moment, it was never really about the goal. It was about everything that came before it.